socials are fun.
Hey everybody, welcome to, let's see here, it is Friday night, live from Denver. Yeah, it's Friday night, there we go. Okay, good, got the order right there. Hey everybody, welcome to a Critical Conversations Christmas 2020 episode. I am joined by my beautiful wife, Melissa.
Hello, hello, hello.
Merry Christmas. We are a week out from Christmas, everybody. And thank you for confirming our sounds great. All the rudes are in. Scientology terminology. Good. And the comments are going. Everything is technically running wonderfully. I wanted to first start out by saying to all of you out there that you are my critics. That is the term I am going to now use to talk about you guys, my critics, and not because you're bad or horrible or awful or at all, negative about me. It's because it's a great label. I want all of my critics, all of my followers, subscribers, people who, think I have something to say. I'm going to call y'all critics because, one, it helps us identify ourselves, and two, it's actually what we should be doing all the time, being critical. So I thought, what a great example. And of course, the thing that most makes me happy about that is I now get to say things like, my critics are awesome. I love my critics. My critics are the best. Everyone's a critic. That's right. So that's right. Everyone's a critic. I love that one. Good. So that is, let's see, announcement number 1. Just wanted to run that by you guys there. I've got my magic Post-it note. I'm critical. Exactly. You better be critical. Oh, yeah, that's right. And we are going to be getting to the Tom Cruise rant in just a moment. Yeah. We got an action-packed episode for you guys this evening, and I do want to also say, despite all of our planning and everything, we've got Christmas trivia, we've got university study stuff, we've got Milgrams and the Zabruder, what am I saying? Not Zabruder, the Lucifer Effect. Philip Zimbardo, that's the name I was struggling to remember there. Stanford Prison Experiment, we got some stuff to talk about or comment on from that I have been learning about that I thought I would share with y'all because it's so damn interesting. And I mentioned Christmas trivia that we will be getting from Melissa in a little bit too. But first, yes, Tom Cruise's rant. How can we possibly ignore that this week? Yes, that's right. Understanding how good people turn evil. That's exactly what this is chapter 12 of that book, according to the comments there. Hey, Cynthia, thank you for that super chat. Merry Christmas. Thank you. We will definitely be buying that pizza probably after the show. It was my birthday last week. It is Christmas next week, and both of those days happen to fall on Friday. My birthday is always exactly 2 weeks before Christmas, so we will not be doing a show next week for obvious reasons. I thought about it. And then I looked at Melissa, and she looked back at me, and then I was like, "Yeah, no, we're not going to do that." So that was that was as far as that needed to go. Plus, it's Christmas. All right, so we will not be here next week, but we will be picking back up after that for every week after that. Okay, let's see here. So Tom Cruise went on a rant on a movie set this last week, as reported in The Sun, and the audio leaked clip of his rant to the crew members was released. And Leah Remini responded to it on Tony Ortega's blog. If you did not see her write-up about that, it was extensive. And she explained TRs and bull baiting and how people in Scientology will use anger and force to get things done. This is actually a Hubbard codified method of how to get things done in Scientology, is to impinge on people harder than their reactive mind is impinging on them, is the actual policy. So if somebody is out ethics, exactly. Hey, Kristen, thank you for that super chat. Awesome. Yeah, exactly. Leah's comments was bang on point. That's right. And the thing and Melissa and I listened to it, and she has her comments about it, I think. But I'm just going to say, first off, all I kept thinking when I was hearing it was that was kind of how we were talked to as Sea Org members all the time. So to hear it again after years of being out from a producer / movie star, and let's remember, he is an executive producer. He is basically owns that movie to a degree as the producer. He's not just a film actor, in other words. Ranting like that, though, I was just like, wow, I haven't heard that in a little bit. And it's exactly what it was. It was like a reenactment of a Sea Org scene. So to see that being delivered by a in a non-Sea Org situation, to non-Sea Org members, and apparently 5 crew members have quit following that. And good on them, because if somebody talked to me like that at this point now, and I recognize, I am perfectly willing to acknowledge I am biased. I have my past trauma and experience, and I have just made decisions that I'm not going to be communicated to in certain ways if I have anything to say about it. So had I been at that situation, I know for a fact I would have walked out of that situation. And I know not everybody has that freedom, though. You have jobs, you need income, et cetera. I mean, I get it. So, and that is where it becomes a bit abusive, because then you're forced to be there. You're stuck there. You can't have the freedom of movement or thought. And you have to be taking this, this tongue lashing. At the end of the day, Tom Cruise isn't beating up on people. But I think we see a little hint there, and especially when I were listening to it, I stopped it a couple times and went back over it. I hadn't read the Sun article fully, where they also noticed that the people who were responding to him were saying, "Yes, sir." I found that a little disturbing. Yeah. I don't think we should be addressing Tom Cruise as sir, but maybe that's something he demands on the set. It really made me wonder.
Makes him feel more powerful.
Yeah, exactly. And it's more in the Sea Org style, and more of the way that to be super clear. And before I forget, Tamara, thank you very much for that super chat. And we will check in with Seven in a second. Where was I going? I was saying that Cruise's his identity. Cruise's self-image is very much, and I believe is very much in line with, I think, how he sees David Miscavige and how he acts and how he should be. Because remember, they're friends, right? Close friends as far as we last knew. So, so I think that's where some of that, comes from. And it's just Tom Cruise's narcissistic self-image.
Oh, sure.
But I don't know. What did you think?
Well, like I was saying earlier, he totally shouldn't have gone about it that way. That's for sure. He was being a dick, but I do understand why he was pissed off. It's like, you got to be wearing your mask. You got to be doing the right thing, because that'll get the movie shut down if you don't.
That's right.
But at the same time, he could have just said it like that. He didn't have to scream and yell and be a jerk about it.
Exactly. And it's actually that cognitive dissonance. I even commented on it on Twitter, that I was watching a lot of people who are in the community, in the Scientology watching world, or just know about Tom Cruise from Going Clear and stuff, who were commenting in this sort of state of cognitive dissonance of, well, he was screaming about the right thing, but should he have really been screaming? But it was really the right thing, and boy, he really should be that passionate about it. We really want people to be that strong about it. And it's like, yeah, okay, that you're not wrong, but think for a second about what your reaction would be to how he's delivering that communication if it wasn't about masks.
Yeah, that's true.
What if he was ranting about about, some stuff falling down on the set, or somebody flubbing their lines, or some other thing, that would cause the set to shut down for a day or 2 or 3 and cause some problems, but really ultimately it's causing him money problems. He's the producer. He's the one who's paying for the whole thing, right? So, would you still have that cognitive dissonance is basically what I'm asking. If it wasn't about something that you agreed about, would that still be, would you be able to see that that's a bit more harsh than it maybe should be? is really where we're going with all that. So, yeah, exactly. Reminded everybody of the Christian Bale meltdown. It's exactly where I was going with that. So, yeah, exactly. It makes him feel powerful. That's right. Okay, good. So, and also, let me bring up one other thing actually out of my uni study here and culty stuff. Let's remember that coercive control or, this kind of abusive behavior that we talk about is a pattern of behavior. And one single incident in that pattern might not look like a whole lot. I doubt this is a one-off. I doubt this is the only time Tom Cruise has ever blown up on a set or has blown up in somebody's face or has gotten, acted inappropriately, in other words. This just happened to be a time when somebody had the sense of mind to turn their cell phone on and start recording it.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe that if this were really looked into, we would find a pattern of behavior surrounding this individual, because I think that's what Scientology creates, especially in somebody like Tom Cruise. And that's why he's got ex-wives. Exactly. Okay, so is coercive control always bad? Yes, coercive control is always bad. It's a repeating pattern of abusive behavior that induces trauma, stress, anxiety, and consist of emotional, psychological, as well as physical abuses. So a constant refrain of how awful, horrible, terrible, no good, you are. Limiting your movements, limiting your travel. I mean, human rights violations fall into this in a general sort of way. Bite model stuff, controlling information, controlling the environment, controlling when you can and can't leave. Mm-hmm. These kinds of things. I mean, we allow this kind of control over people when they are children. And even then, we don't allow physical abuse.
Right.
Right. This whole spanking thing is a bit up in the air. But as far as if you were being treated as a 3-year-old and you're an adult, it's that kind of overreaching control and authority being put over you. So yeah, it's not a good thing. We don't want that. All right. Do I think it was recorded and leaked intentionally? I'm leaning that way. I believe whoever recorded it intentionally, but I don't believe Tom Cruise wanted that leaked. I can't see any positive for him in recording that and leaking it that way. Perhaps a distraction, perhaps, but Tom Cruise has a lot of ways of dominating headlines without having to come out looking like a jerk. And there's no question that there's a whole lot of people who think he looks like a jerk. And I don't think Tom Cruise's PR people, and I don't think Tom Cruise himself would want that image out there that way, where there's going to be controversy connected with it. He's not Trump. Tom Cruise is not get my name in the headlines no matter what. He in fact is the opposite of that. His stage, the stage management that goes on, the public image management that goes on with him is intense. People have no idea what that guy is actually like. So now they have some idea from this leaked audio, and that's even only the tiniest bit. And Tom Cruise's camp right now is very, very happy that at least it was about masks this time.
Not something crazier.
Yeah, that's how I'm thinking it is. Now, that's total guesswork on my part, but that's what I think. I just can't see a good reason for him to have done that. Yeah, hands are not for hitting. That's right, Henny. Okay. Yeah, exactly. There's no reason for them to belittle it. Tamara, perfect. Okay, good. So, that was the Tom Cruise video, unless we missed anything else. Just that yes, sir business. That really kind of bothered me.
Yeah, that was weird.
2 times. Yeah.
I've been on, not nearly that exciting of a movie set, but nobody ever called the producers or directors sir or anything.
Exactly. Hey, Steve. Okay, let us check in because we have not there he is, our little magic furball, Seven the Wonder Cat.
Aww.
Hashtag Seven the Wonder Cat if you wish to refer to him on social media. But there he is. And he's chilling on his little cat tree there. And that's not a picture. That is him there.
Yep.
He just sometimes he just chills, man.
He's just old.
He is. He's an
Oh,
old
he moved his
kitty.
head just a little.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Yeah, there he is. Yeah. See, proof of life. He's not. We're not. I don't think I should be making taxidermy jokes about Seven. Okay, good. Okay, so call in line 984-214-4154. Feel free every week, despite our sitting here going on at a mad rate about things. If you want to call and talk to us about pretty much anything, we are here to be talked to, and that is 984-214-4154. All right. I wanted to, if you guys were interested, give a little bit of data from the university study. We are now at the point where I am writing my term essay for the coercive control class for this first term, and I'm having to go through and look into the history and developments of coercive control across human trafficking and various other things, and as well as cults, obviously, and then offer some critical analysis and assessment of that in the law. So that's not exactly it, but I'm not going to get into any more specifics of the program than that on what I'm working on right now. But part of that was reading this Philip Zimbardo chapter from the book, The Lucifer Effect. And there is some fascinating stuff. Now, I, of course, just eat this stuff up. I love learning about this. And here's what I wanted to share with you guys. What's that? Oh, hey. That was weird.
Yeah.
All right. Seven is in charge now. All right. What I wanted to share with you guys. Technical difficulties are awesome.
It was a good technical difficulty.
It was. Oh, well, this is a great question, Blank Bullet, because I'm about to get into a little bit of that. Blank Bullet's asking here about thoughts on coercive control and personal accountability. Well, let me give you a little bit more information that I was learning about this week that really kind of got my wheels turning. And by the way, there's a John A. Tech podcast coming tomorrow on this channel where we talk about authoritarianism and some of this stuff in even more detail. And we recorded that last week, but it's interesting how it ties in with what we're doing here. All I wanted to share with you from this is that it's fascinating how the situation a person finds themselves in can have everything to do with how they then act. And they might act in a way very different from how they think they would act and how anybody else thinks they would act in those circumstances. Because there's no substitute for the reality of a situation that you are in that you did not predict would be occurring. And you have to make it up now. You have to figure out what to do. What's the appropriate response? And generally speaking, we're, a little backed off from making waves, standing out, being, disobedient, disloyal, a trouble, the squeaky wheel, the fly in the ointment. We've got expressions for this because it's always frowned upon. It's a bad thing to stand out, to be the sore thumb, right? And yet, if you start looking at like something like the Stanford Prison Experiment or the Asch Conformity Experiments or the Milgrams, which are the most replicated and as far as I'm concerned, the most reliable of these social science case studies or experiments. I think we talk about Zimbardo's Stanford Prison thing now as it's always been called the Stanford Prison Experiment, but really it's more of a little case study because it's not a well-conducted experiment and not one that can be replicated because no ethics board on the planet is going to let anybody assign prisoners and guards roles anymore and just let people have at it. Why not? Well, because people get into situations where they are assigned roles or where they can assume or take on identities that change their behavior because it changes their entire worldview, changes their entire outlook.
Mm-hmm.
And this is self-categorization theory, this is social identity theory, but this is also some of what we see coming out of the Stanford and Milgram experiments. And specifically, I'm not going to go into reading a lot here because I don't like to do that. I think I do that too much. But the motivational force behind this basically is the fear of being left out. The terror of being left outside, the fear of rejection when one wants acceptance. Now, obviously, you have to be in a situation where you want acceptance. In a situation where you don't care, where the consequences don't matter to you, where you are not invested in any way, you're not going to be leveraged. Your behavior is not going to be leveraged. You're not going to assume a different identity or worldview or take on a different idea of how things should be because you don't agree with any of the stuff that's going on around you. But if you go into a group like Scientology, if you go into a group like the military, if you go into a group like a job, and they start telling you how things are, you got to acclimate to that culture, not the other way around. And this is what I had to learn going into the university, right? It was like, I ain't going to be the squeaky wheel that's going to change that system. I got to learn how to comply with it. This is a survival skill, in other words. It's not just a cult thing. But like with everything that cults do, like I say, they dial everything up to 11. They take the natural, organic processes of our lives.
Turn it dark.
That's right. Exactly. So, okay. So the Stanford prison experiment then, here's what, here's a summary statement of the whole thing. And I'll just read this bit and then we can move on. The Stanford prison experiment is a facet of the broad mosaic of research that reveals the power of social situations and the social construction of reality. I assign you roles. I have a role. That's our reality, right? And depending on what those roles are and the expectations and obligations, responsibilities, privileges, etc., of those roles, we like them, we hate them, we don't care about them, we take them on, but they all affect how we see the world. And when they are situations where we're entering into undue influence or coercive control, or alternately, we can, all of us as ordinary people, be put into situations where we end up becoming the bad guys ourselves. Right. And it's not, and to go back to that question that was asked earlier about the personal responsibility, none of this removes a person's personal responsibility for their own actions. You have to, otherwise we don't have a society. If people cannot be held accountable for the actions their body carried out, because they're the ones who were more in control of those actions than anybody else, we assume, right? Then it's a little bit hard to escape responsibility, nor should you be able to. If you're a cult member and you murder somebody, it's still murder. A defense could be made in terms of a mitigating circumstance, in terms of how much control you had over your own mind. And that's where we're sort of looking at things legally, and it's a very, very difficult question. I hope if you guys were listening to the podcast I did a week or two ago with Cyprian about the law and these Scientology cases, you kind of get some appreciation for how complicated the problem actually is to word a law and then implement that law. Actually apply it in such a way that it gets done what you want it to get done, but doesn't at the same time adversely affect anyone or anything, or have unintended consequences that go in entirely the wrong direction. And there have been plenty of times in history where that's happened.
Yeah.
And we all got screwed, right? So the law it's crazy crafty, and it's not my area of expertise, but just my brushes with it and my discussions with it, it is it's hard to nail this down. And it's not just a matter of getting the wording of the law right. It's then a matter, of applying that law and establishing case law and and seeing how it plays out in an actual court when real people have to start interpreting it in the real world and how they interpret it. So, and you can give them assistance and help, like in the UK, there's a whole regulatory guidelines booklet with the coercive control law from 2015 that lays out examples of coercive control. I cited some of them earlier in the show here. Gives examples of what they're looking for as a repeating pattern of offense. So you can give some guidance, but there's a process that plays out, and it's not an easily predictable one. So yeah, group mentality can be a dangerous thing. That is exactly right. So anyway, I wanted to share some of that. Good stuff. We want to check back in with
yeah, let's
7?
see what 7's doing.
All right. Let's see. Oh, okay, there he is. Sleeping, I guess. Slacker. He is such a slacker, this guy.
He really is.
I swear to God, this guy. Well,
don't pay any bills.
He never does. He never sweeps. He never vacuums. He doesn't clean the tub. He doesn't dust. If anything, his hair just gets
everywhere.
Everywhere. But I don't know. Somehow we just, he's a freeloader. There we go.
Yes.
But we love him anyway.
Yes.
We just do. He's just such a little bundle of joy. He's just
Happy.
he's amazing. Okay, so we went to, that's right. I wanted to share one other thing about this because that I thought you guys would find fascinating. I sure as hell did. If you were looking for the formula, the actual steps you would have to take in any group in order to create a culty, bad situation, they are literally laid out like a roadmap in this chapter. And one of the things I thought you guys might appreciate in some of this is how we might compare some of these things to Scientology. Now, there's 10 points here, and I'm not going to go over all of them, but just to give you a little bit of an idea of this roadmap, the first one, this is 10 lessons from the Milgram studies, creating evil traps for good people. Okay, how do you get people in? How do you enfold them and entrap them in your vicious group and make good people go bad? Well, the first thing is pre-arranging some form of contractual obligation, whether it's verbal or written, to control the individual's behavior in pseudo-legal fashion. In Milgram's experiment, by the way, this was done by publicly agreeing to accept the task, and they paid them a few bucks to do the experiment. So there was this obligatory, I have to be here, I have to get through this, even though nobody really said that. The very fact of that obligation or agreement is key. And I wanted to, I went, I wonder if that might be one of the reasons, not the primary reason by any means, but maybe this was one of the tricky reasons behind why Scientology has come up with so many legal contracts and binds you to them legally. You don't own your PC folders, what you say in the auditing. It's, there's all this legal mumbo jumbo and jargon in every course you do and every membership you sign up for and every auditing service you do. You are signing these contracts. And I wonder if that isn't part of this pseudo-legal contractual obligation business that helps sink a person more and more into feeling like they are obligated to follow Scientology's directions. Right, it's just one of a myriad, a mosaic of ways that Scientology and these other groups can control you. So I just thought that was an interesting one. Another one, and aligned with what we were just talking about, is giving participants meaningful roles to play. That carry with them previously learned positive values and automatically activate response scripts. In other words, the person's familiar with what these roles should be, like teacher or learner. If you want to get somebody into a position where you're going to have them doing bad things to other people, this is the mock-up we're talking about here. You get them thinking in their identity that they're doing something positive, something good, something worthwhile, and something that they can fall back on as an already understood concept. A policeman, keeping order, keeping the peace, maintaining order, ensuring freedom, restoring democracy. I mean, some of these things sound familiar. They should. These are purposes given to people artificially. You know, that create mindsets that allow a person that can justify atrocious behavior. Not necessarily. It doesn't have to go there. I'm not saying that the very value of a sign and identity is a bad thing. We're talking about, well, how do good people go bad? This is how. These are the steps, right? And presenting basic rules to be followed that seem to make sense before their actual use, but can then be used arbitrarily and impersonally to justify mindless compliance. Also, systems control people by making their rules vague and changing them as necessary, but insisting that rules are rules and thus must be followed. Right? So like in Milgram, they had the researchers, the people who were conducting the experiment, were in lab coats to give them the air of authority, and they had clipboards. This was one of the variables they messed around with. And by using these symbols of authority, they establish, you know, this environment of dominance, and that rules must be followed. This is a scientific process after all. So it has to be orderly, and you have to keep hurting this person because this is the rules. So people would. And there are more. So those are just the first three. I don't want to spend a terrible amount of time on it, but the gradual boiling frog phenomena is part of this. Making sure the person doesn't feel like they are singly and solely responsible for their actions is part of this. You know, when in Milgram, when they were shocking people, they could the lab person, the person in the coat, would tell the person, you know, that was inflicting the shocks, I'll take responsibility for any damage that happens or any bad outcomes from this. You don't worry about it. You just keep doing the experiment. You just keep shocking them. And if they could convince the person that they were off the hook, they'd continue doing bad things. Right? So that's part of this process. So it's just a puzzle. It's just a bunch of bit. And you have created a situation where normal, regular, ordinary people, doesn't matter their intelligence, it doesn't matter their gender. Milgram found similar or same levels of obedience between males and females. There wasn't a difference. And not a statistically appreciative difference or statistically significant difference. They weren't the same numbers. But anyway, these kinds of things, it's just sort of based on how we work. And so the reason I talk about this stuff and want to share it with you and get excited about it is because I think by unlocking these mysteries, we empower ourselves so that we can be more aware of our situation. You know, in combat and in air flight, they call it situational awareness. Basically mindfulness. I mean, in a way, it's kind of being aware of what's going on around you. And if you're aware of your situation and you're aware of what obligations are being laid on you that maybe you're not necessarily wanting, or what are the rules of this situation that you didn't necessarily agree with, or whatever, you can be more in the driver's seat and more able to say no. Just no. That's it. You don't have to justify, you don't have to rationalize, you don't have to explain. Just no, I'm not going to do this. That's, and that's a powerful word. It's a powerful concept. And I want to empower people to be able to do it and use it when applicable. So that's why I talk about this stuff. Is Eric Cartman I love looking down these comments. Is Eric Cartman from South Park evil? That's a tough question because Cartman's mom is not like this horrible evil influence on him.
No, she's kind of the opposite. She like spoils him a little too much, so he's kind of a jerk because he gets away with everything. She doesn't stop him.
That's right. That's right. If anything, he's spoiled. Oh, hey. Okay, got a call here. Go ahead and take it.
All right.
All right. Sorry for having you on hold there a little bit. Hello.
No. Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
I am good. You might have well, probably not. You get a lot of these, but I used to tune in right around maybe like August, September. I haven't for a while, school and all that, but I
Sure.
want to thank you for something.
Oh, yeah. What you got?
So basically, when I called into your show, I thought it was really fun, and I eventually ended up starting my own online radio show, and you were kind of a cause of that. So it's really cool, and I like doing it. And
Awesome.
thanks for partially being the impetus for that.
Excellent. I am more than happy to have helped be the impetus for that. I wish you all
man.
the success in the world. That'll be great.
Oh man, that's so that's real nice of you. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Would you like to tell everybody where they can reach you right now while you're on the air here? How they can listen to your show?
It's so it's on a platform called Spreaker, and the show is called Handcrafted Once More. If you just look it up, you'll probably find it there. And I go live every Saturday night from 11 to 12 Central p.m. And the episodes are up for a week afterwards. You can still catch it. So, tune in if you want. It'll be real fun. And, thanks.
Absolutely. No problem. And hey, Merry Christmas.
Oh, Merry Christmas to you.
Alrighty. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Cool. Well, that was fun.
Yeah.
I always like helping.
Yeah, you were inspired someone.
Exactly. Just say no. Yeah, I really hope I didn't come across like Nancy Reagan there. I feel that knowledge and education empowers us. And I know that that's not the only thing. And I know everybody's not me and I'm not everybody else and all that. But I really feel like the more you know, the more powerful you can be or the more power you can generate. So that's why I hope that that will help enable some of you guys out there. And it's not just say no. Oh, yeah, it's good stuff though. There is some really, really good stuff in here, and yeah. A good way to avoid crimes of obedience is to assert one's personal authority and always take full responsibility for one's actions. That's it. That's the summary of how to escape or avoid cults. Now, we have, let me remind everybody, 984-214-4154. And we are now ready for Melissa to share with us some Christmas trivia. And I think you guys are going to be interested in this one. We're not just talking about Krampus.
You're right.
So what do you got?
That is coming up, but let's see. So the first one I thought was interesting that I found was evergreens are an ancient tradition. The tradition of Christmas trees goes all the way back to ancient Egyptians and Romans, who marked the winter solstice with evergreens as a reminder that spring would return. So if you decorate with the green tree wreaths or evergreen garland, you're throwing it back, way back.
Way back. Egypt back. I mean, you're doing the Egyptian. I had no idea when we were going over these earlier that evergreens were even in Egypt. No idea. I just kind of had this idea that there were, I don't know, palm trees or something. I got nothing. All I know about Egypt is the pyramids in the Nile.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Anyway, please continue.
Saint Nick was more generous than jolly. So you probably already knew that the idea of Santa Claus came from Saint Nicholas, but the real saint wasn't a bearded man who wore a red suit. That all came much later. According to legend, the 4th century Christian bishop gave away his abundant inheritance to help the needy and rescued women from servitude. His name was Sinterklaas in Dutch, which later morphed into Santa Claus. The rest of the trappings followed.
There we go. Oh, yeah, this is a good one.
Yeah, a lot of you might already know this, but Coca-Cola played a part in Santa's image. Before Coca-Cola got in on it, Santa used to look a lot less jolly, even spooky. It wasn't until 1931 when the beverage company hired an illustrator named Haddon Sundblom, I guess that's how you say his name, for magazine ads that we got the jolly old elf. Now, kids won't get nightmares when they dream of Christmas Eve.
Wow. Isn't that interesting? So the Santa on the Coke can or on the Coke bottles was the one we now all recognize as Santa Claus. And before that, he was some sinister-looking dude.
Well, in some iterations, not all of them. He was friendly in some iterations
Okay,
too.
okay.
The very idea of all the, the rosy cheeks and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
All right. So Rudolph was a marketing play as well.
Now, you don't say. That's impossible.
Never. Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer, first appeared in 1939 when the Montgomery Ward department store asked one of its copywriters to create a Christmas story the store could give away as a promotional gimmick. The store had been giving away coloring books for years and decided to make its own to save some money.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I really like this one. So back in the day, astronauts broadcast jingle bells from space as a prank. This prank almost went too far. 9 days before Christmas in 1965, the two astronauts aboard Gemini 6 sent an odd report to Mission Control that they saw an unidentified flying object about to enter Earth's atmosphere, traveling in the polar orbit from north to south. They interrupted the tense report with the sound of jingle bells as Wally Schirra played a small harmonica accompanied by Tom Stafford on a handful of small sleigh bells they had smuggled aboard.
Wow. Wow, man. That's actually more gutsy than you might realize because every ounce is accounted for on those flights.
Oh, yeah.
And they don't have a lot of wiggle room with the fuel and the way they measure everything. So that's quite something.
All right. So here's a fun one. Christmas decorating sends nearly 15,000 people to the ER each year. So if you've ever watched Clark Griswold decorate his house in Christmas Vacation, that probably doesn't come much of a surprise. In fact, the Consumer Product Safety Commission estimates that 14,700 people visit hospital emergency rooms every November and December from holiday-related decorating accidents.
Wow.
All right.
Okay. Well, that's 300. Okay, so every year, 15,000 people, right?
Right. 14,700, yeah.
Okay, so 14,000. So let's say 15,000 people. So that's 300 per state.
Wow.
I mean, that doesn't sound like a lot when you bring it down to that.
Yeah.
But still, that's just decorating their houses to get hurt.
Just, put some lights
come
up
on,
on
man.
the roof, falling off.
Yeah, be careful on the ladder, dude. Okay.
All right, so then there was a Christmas gift that held a life-saving secret. So during World War II, the United States Playing Card Company joined forces with the American and British intelligence agencies to create a very special deck of cards. They gave them out as Christmas gifts that also helped Allied prisoners of war escape from German POW camps. Individual cards peeled apart when moistened to reveal maps of escaped routes.
Isn't that awesome? I just think people are awesome. There's so much we forget. These little tidbits that you pick up here and there and here and there, but there are so many amazing, almost miracle stories of good things that people did. By the way, on both sides, there were, in reading through this stuff today about the Lucifer Effect, I'm reading about Nazis, of course, because how do we not talk about Nazis when we get into this stuff? But a lot of SS officers in secret were helping Jews too.
Good.
So there's stories on all ends that are quite special for this time of year, I think.
Yeah. All right. So Iceland has some fun stuff going on. Iceland has 13 Santas and an old lady who kidnaps children.
Whoa.
Christmas in Iceland is a colorful fusion of religion, fairy tales, and folklore. Instead of one Santa, the kids are visited by 13 Yule lads that either reward children for good behavior or punish them if they were naughty. The holiday period begins 13 days before Christmas, and each day one of the 13 Yule lads comes to the houses and fills shoes that kids leave under the Christmas tree, either with sweets and small gifts or rotting potatoes, depending on how that particular child has behaved on the preceding day.
On the preceding day?
Yes, be good on the 23rd or whatever.
Okay.
The mother of Yule lads have half troll, half beast, horrifying old woman gorilla, kidnaps naughty kids and boils them in her cauldron.
Damn, Iceland's like harsh, man.
Sounds like The Witch and Hansel and Gretel.
Yeah, that's some grim fairy tale action going on there. Jesus. Hey, John. I see you in the comments there.
All right, so artificial Christmas trees. More than 80% of Americans buy artificial Christmas trees. In 2018, 82% of Christmas trees in American households were artificial, while over 95 million households displayed a Christmas tree. That's according to the American Christmas Tree Association.
Damn.
So this is kind of a long one, but I thought it was fun.
Okay, now get ready for some math here.
Yeah, here's some math.
All right.
Scientists have calculated that for Santa Claus to deliver presents to every home in the world, he would have to travel at a speed of 4,921,200 miles per hour. That's 7,919,904 kilometers per hour for those who favor the metric system. There are a number of factors which are involved in this calculation. Give or take, there are around 1.6 billion households across the world. It's been calculated that only around 31% of households are actually visited by Santa, which means he has about 500 million stops to make on Christmas Eve. Santa would have about 42 hours to complete his task due to international time zones and such other things. During this time, he has to travel from house to house depositing gifts, snacking on a cookie or two, and of course remaining completely undetected.
Right, while traveling 4.9 million miles an hour. Yeah.
And his sleigh.
Basically altering Earth's orbit in the process, but exactly. No big deal.
For this to be possible, Santa would have to stop at each household for only 300 microseconds. That's 0.0003 seconds. Good luck with that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all the facts about if Santa really existed and flew around the world in one night.
Now, I've always thought Santa exists in multiple places at multiple times. I thought that was Santa's superpower, and that's how we got it all done on Christmas. But that's just me making shit up.
Yeah. More, how does that work with physics?
Exactly.
Okay, and then a follow-up fact on that's also kind of in the same vein is financial experts at Forbes calculated Santa Claus's net worth and concluded he would have to be worth infinity to pull off everything he does. That makes him the richest person in the world, fictional or otherwise.
Santa Claus, man. He's the ultimate one percenter.
Yeah. In 2013, the record was set for the fastest time to decorate a Christmas tree. It took Sharon Wantua 36.89 seconds and was set in Essex, UK.
36 seconds to decorate an entire Christmas tree. That's impressive. I wonder if they allowed her to preset stuff. I mean, they must have had the boxes of, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe all the balls were in one box and all the other ornaments are in another.
Or somehow she had a way of throwing them on the tree or something.
Yeah, they were all tied together. And
I have to imagine she's just throwing tinsel and whatever wrappings and stuff around the tree. Man, 36.89 seconds.
Here's a silly little one for people that know what Denny's is. I know there's some people internationally that may not know, but Denny's in America had an issue when it came to Christmas closing time, as many restaurants were built with no locks.
Yeah, truly 24/7. They really never planned on closing.
And then, so just a little Krampus thing. Krampus in Central European popular legend, a half goat, half demon monster that punishes misbehaving children at Christmas time. He is a devilish companion of Saint Nicholas. Krampus is believed to have originated in Germany, and his name derives from the German word Krampen, which means claw.
Claw. Whoa.
And then a final little fun one. In Canada, letters sent to Santa go to postcode H0H0H0, which is ho, ho, ho.
Yeah. And there we go. So there is some brilliant Christmas trivia for you for this week, brought to you by the awesome Melissa.
Thank you.
Yes. No, you did great, baby. Okay, now let us check back in with 7.
Meow.
Yep. There he is, still sleeping.
Passed out again.
This guy. I don't know. One of these days.
His eyes kind of moved a little.
Yeah, maybe one of these days we'll get him working. I don't know. Just a little dream.
Yeah. Someday we'll get him when he's laying on his back with his feet in the air.
Oh my God, there are poses that we really wish he would do while he gets up on camera that he just will never do, that are the cutest, most strange, peculiar things. When he's sleeping with his eyes open, it's a little weird. But he gets himself bent and twisted around and his head reoriented, and I don't know how he does it. It is, man, it's impressive. Okay, let us now move on to the final phase of our show for this week, and that is Logical Fallacy of the Week.
Woohoo.
You critics, I forgot this last time and I was kicking myself. So I've got the magic cards. Now, for those who don't remember or don't know, these cards, this is a deck of critical thinking cards. And this has got to be one of the best things ever put together. These are all logical fallacies and cognitive biases that people have or share. And one per card. And what I do each week is shuffle the cards and share with you guys one of these at random. And this week it is your fallacy. All right. So this logical fallacy is called composition/division. I don't know that I've heard this one before. Assuming that what's true about one part of something has to be applied to all or other parts of it. Composition/division, okay? Daniel was a precocious child and had a liking for logic. He reasoned that atoms are invisible and that he was made of atoms, and therefore invisible too. Unfortunately, despite his thinky skills, he lost the game of hide and go seek.
Like what was that movie with all the silly superheroes?
Oh gosh. Not Mad Men.
No.
Oh gosh. Yes.
I just remember there was that guy that could turn invisible, but he could only turn invisible when nobody was looking at him.
That's right.
That's what that makes me think of.
That's right. Exactly. The guy was invisible. Mystery Men. Mystery Men. Love that movie. Yeah, he could be invisible, but only when nobody's looking at him. That's right. That's right. Yes, that was a great movie. I loved that movie. I'll never forget the scene of Ben Stiller with the squeezy ball, because he's like this really ragey guy that's like a superpower, and he just goes off with this squeegee ball because he's actually really not that ragey. It was a great movie. All right, guys, I think we're going to move toward wrapping up our show for this week. This has been a lot of fun being with you. In fact, this has been kind of a chunky lot of episode. We covered a lot of stuff here. I want to thank all of you for your support. All you critics out there, and especially those of you who have punched in through the super chat. Thank you very much for that. We really, really appreciate the support. We are really looking forward to future episodes here in 2021. We are definitely ready to put a bow on 2020 and call that a done.
That's for sure.
I sure as hell am. And looking forward to vaccines and, a return to something we call normalcy this year with a new president. And maybe we can get, maybe politics can become boring again. And I would be very, very happy for that to happen, because then I won't be having to talk about it anymore, as I'm always drawn to do. And I'd like to stop talking about that, because it's never something that seems to get a whole lot of broad agreement. All right, guys. And boy, is it culty. Jesus. Jesus, is it culty. All right. Yeah. All right, guys, let's wrap it up for this week. Do you have anything you wanted to add before we go?
No, just Merry Christmas to everyone.
Yeah, big time. Big time Merry Christmas. And we will definitely be seeing you before New Year's.
Yeah.
So, all right. Oh my God. Wait. How could we do this? Hello.
Hello?
Hello.
Oh, Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
Henny, I was hoping you were going to call. Thank you for calling in right before we signed off there.
Oh, I'm so glad I got you before you left.
Yeah.
Happy holidays to you. You guys are wonderful.
Mm.
Melissa,
Not
you
such
look
wonderful
terrific
timing.
with your glasses. I wanted to say,
Oh, thank you.
stunning, darling. Oh,
You know, it's good to hear this from other people. I will simply say that.
really?
Well,
She
you know,
does. She
it's
looks
not that I
great.
don't shower her with praise, but you know, it's always good. So thank you, Henny. I agree.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome. And happy birthday to you, and
Thank you.
happy holidays to you. And that's really what I wanted to say because it was a Christmas show.
Awesome. Thanks,
And
Henny.
I learned a lot. I learned a lot from everything you said with your points, and it was terrific. To very interesting topic, Chris. Really,
Yeah.
keep us informed because it's great.
Awesome. Definitely will
I
do.
had one question.
Yeah.
Could I ask you one question, quick?
Bring it.
Okay. I hope it's a quick answer. This is a Christmas show. Now, I have been through different Christmas parties thrown by Jewish people and vice versa. I wanted to just have your take on Christmas.
Oh, great.
Like, I love your shirt. It looks terrific.
Yes.
If you had a tree.
Oh, yeah. We have a
Yeah, a little
ceramic
ceramic
tree.
tree.
Yes.
Because we don't have room for a regular tree, really.
That's right. And this year is the first year that we actually got a little serious about sending out Christmas cards for real to all our relatives and friends. And, well, not all of them, because I didn't send any Christmas cards to you guys, but to our immediate friends and family. And that's actually a little special. I actually commented on it, because that might not sound like that big of a deal, but okay, let me say one thing about this, and I think it'll help clarify my thing on Christmas. Christmas was always, Christmas is in December. Christmas is the time everybody goes on vacation, takes time off. So statistically in Scientology, all the stats would crash at Christmas. And we hated Christmas as a result of that. We being the people like that I worked with in management. And so it was always a horrible time of the year for me with punishments and added pressures and things. So, and we were never sure if we were going to get a day off or not. Now, it's been 8 years that I've been out of that. And every year, Christmas has become more and more special again.
Oh, okay.
So now I'm actually in the spirit of it. We've got Christmas lights up in our house. We've got a Christmas tree. We've got cards. We're doing all the usual little secular-minded but Christmas activities and loving it. And I've always been a fan of the Christmas spirit.
Yeah.
So there you go.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, mazel tov on this Hanukkah, okay?
Yes.
And Merry Christmas. Yes, because there's many different holiday celebrations around this time of year.
That's right.
You know, and I think they're all pretty terrific. And I think you guys are.
Awesome.
So enjoy, and great talking to you.
Thank you, Henny.
Thank you.
Happy holidays to you, too. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys. Good night.
Good night.
All right, excellent. Well, that was a last-minute go that we loved. All right, guys, let's wrap it up now. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.